Okay. So, so welcome everybody. I'm just going to do a quick summary of a little bit of what we learned last week so that we know where we headed this week. Last week, really, we asked everybody to do the mind maps. And then Reb Hillel shared his own mind map with us, which let me just in a very short way. So just to bring our minds back to the whole process, Reb Hillel summarized the process going from up to down, from the process of the mashpia down to the makabel. So we start off with that which is above seichel.
Nothing here I like.
Which is the koach hamaskil and the ratzon and the hush and all of that. So he just says above seichel. And then, as we know, we go through the oimek of chokhmah to the rochav of chokhmah, bringing down the idea to the oirech of chokhmah. And then we go into the oimek of bina, down through the rochav of bina, to the oirech of bina, all the way to the vessel of the brain or the comprehension of a child. So here we're basically going from above seichel, through chokhmah, through bina, and the one thing that he leaves out is really the process of das. Like, where does das fit in? So in the paragraph itself, he says all of this happens through das, which awakens the koach hamaskil to begin this whole process. So in the paragraph 11 that we're going to look at today, Reb Hillel goes into the details of how das works in this process of the mashpia giving over to the makabel. And he introduces us to das elyon, which is two levels of das, hamakas hadas and maimik. And we're going to learn in more detail what that is. I mean, it's interesting to see that up until this point, if you think back, and most of you have done a mind map, so you should know this by now. Reb Hillel went through, in a short way, he took us through what is chokhmah, what is bina, what is das, in a general way. And then he went through chokhmah, bina, and das again in more details. What is the oimek, what is the rochav, and what is the orech of chokhmah, of bina, and of das. And now he's going to take us even further into das. He's not going to do that with chokhmah and bina, but there's something about das that we need to know more about. And there's something about das that is very, very elusive in a way. And so he needs to give us more information. Okay, somebody is asking, what is paragraph 11 in the English translation? And let me see, I put it on the WhatsApp group. It's on, paragraph 11 is going to be, oh, I didn't put it there. Let me have a look quickly. So the Hebrew page is going to be Kuf Nun Gimel, and the English is page 39. Okay. So in order to prepare our minds once again for this process of going deeper into das, I feel that we first need to just take a moment and think, what do I already know about das? Before we go deeper, we need to just solidify what do I know about das up until this point. So we're going to do that in two stages. The first stage I'm going to just ask you to close your eyes, and without looking at any summaries or at any text, we'll just try and recall for yourself what you know. And then the next stage, I'll give you summaries of paragraph 3 and 9, where we learned about das, and we'll go into a breakout room, and there you'll just remind yourself what are the main points that you need to know. Because you'll see when we go into paragraph 11, almost 50% of it is something we've already learned. So this is the process that I recommend we go through. So just take a moment, close your eyes, and ask yourself, what do I know about das from this text up until now? And we're just going to do that for a couple minutes. Okay, so let's just get some feedback from you. This is also part of the Eon process, just like you might have felt your brain initially, you're like, oh, I don't know anything. And then suddenly it starts to come into focus. So just, open your mic and just give us a little bit of feedback. What came up for you? What do you know about das? Yoni.
Okay, so it's connects Bina and Chachma. It's focus and concentration. It's bonding. It's like extreme focus, and by focusing and bonding with the subject that you're trying to understand, like I understand the bonding is like kind of cleaving to the subject, and through doing that, it somehow awakens the koach hamaskil. It connects somehow and activates the koach hamaskil. That's what I think.
Okay, good. So I'm not gonna comment, but so that's what Yoni remembers. It brings up some questions in a way, like how does that awaken the koach hamaskil? So that's good, because we're going to answer that question. Cody, what comes up for you? What do you remember about das? You need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, when you mentioned previously that it awakens, that goes to koach maskil, I totally it confused me very much, because I thought that the art is more I saw more the first part, which is the understanding and integrating. But now, when it was said again, it's like I'm taking everything at a level that is not as deep as you go. It's like very light. I would say da'at is that after grasping the concept and analyzing it, then da'at is when it becomes mine.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
Okay, good. Anybody else want to add something? Like you have another part of it that you'd like to add? Nakama, Tzipi?
Okay, the first thing that comes to mind is that it's, I don't know if you could say it's powered by chush, that the chush that a person has, the inclination, the, however you define chush, it strengthens or it makes possible the das. And through that and the intense concentration. And also maybe similar to what Cody said, and this is not something that I remember that I learned, but the sense that I have is that when you know in your whole being, in your total body, and that something is true, that something is, and without thinking. So it's more than a sense. Maybe it's the bonding of the intellect and the and the sensing. So it's a very strong knowing.
Okay. Look, the important thing that Nechama has added there is that the root of das is a chush. So what is, this answers really comes to start to answer the question about the koach hamaskil. Where is the chush? What is the chush? The chush is the connection to what?
To the heart. To the
Don't guess. Either you know, like from what we studied, or not.
Is that in the skull?
What is the chush? It's the connection to. It's the connection to Ratzon, desire, which is the skull.
Esel.
Tzipi.
Yeah, so as I'm listening to everybody, it was just kind of a new idea came up in my mind. It's almost like a circle of energy that connects above and below and side to side. It's all around connector.
Okay, good.
So like above would be kesel, below would mean like the actual application of das, which I guess would be more towards the midos, and then also Chochmah and Bina, and everything, it's like all circular, how everything is all connected into experience.
Chush is what I am.
Okay.
My personality, my desire, my
Desire.
something that is beyond Ratzon, beyond intellect.
It's beyond intellect. It's specifically Ratzon, your desire. It's what.
But isn't chush either you have it or you don't? Can you develop it? Can you?
That's what. At the time we spoke about chush. It's not that it's like a talent. We spoke about it in a deeper way, and in a more technical way, it's really it's the connection to the Ratzon. Okay, what I want to do is we're going to go into breakout rooms, just 2 people, and what I want you to do is have a look. I posted the summary of paragraph 3 and paragraph 9 on the WhatsApp group and also in the chat here. So I want you in pairs to have a look at that. This is what we know about das thus far. And try to, it's quite a lot. So your job is in the breakout room is to highlight the most important points so that you know what is das and what do we know about das up until now. So just go through it quite quickly and just, write down for yourselves or highlight for yourself what is the main points of Das that we need to know as we go into a deeper explanation of Das? What is the foundation he's given us today? Okay. So Alkalea
Yeah,
says she,
okay, great. So you have your rooms are open, and please join
Okay.
your rooms for further discussion.
Okay.
Not enough time. We had an icebreaker, and after the icebreaker, we got into it, but it's
So
good. It was good.
continue. You want to
It's
continue,
good.
Sarah?
I'm not the only one.
Yeah. You left quickly.
Oh, we had more time. Is that
We had
what
a
you're
few
saying?
seconds. But I just want to like jump in there and say that the difference between the first person and the second person who was distracted and wasn't completely engaged is that he's still full of himself. He has his own thoughts, where the first person had achieved a level of bittul where he could focus that way and really dig into the das.
Okay, so look, I know it was a lot of information and probably you would need more time to go through it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share it with you and just highlight the points that we really, need to know going into this paragraph 11. Okay, so this is what you were looking at, right? So I'm just highlighting in red what I think are the most important points for us to just kind of reconnect to. So Das is not Haskalah, not conceptualization, nor understanding Havana, which is Chochmah and Bina. It is the connection to them, hit kashrut. And then there's the example. So we know that Das is his kashrut, his kashrus. And we had the example. Yes.
Sorry, I'm just thinking that very minute comment, but it's kashrut in the chokhmah and in the bina.
So that's what you're going to see exactly now. Look at this. One person connects himself to the concept and the explanation, which is the concept is the haskalah is chokhmah, and the explanation is bina. That he conceptualized and understood chokhmah and bina. He connects himself to the chokhmah and the bina. He says it right here. This was paragraph 3. In other words, he focuses the power of his intellects and thoughts and summons them to connect to one concept. Okay, so that's a general idea, but there, Sarah, what you were picking up on is that it's Das connects him to the Chokhmah and the Bina, back and forth. Okay, good. So we're going to see later that this is called, spoiler alert, this is a makas Das. The Das that is between Chokhmah and Bina. And there we see that the person forgets about himself and such like that we know about. Okay. Now, very important. Where does Das come from? The definition of the root of Das is the connection a person has to his ratzon at the time that he desires it is called the chush. So the chush is the root of the Das. And what is the chush? Chush is the connection to the ratzon. And we know that the ratzon is in the skull. So that's where we're going to see something around a Das that is above Chokhmah, that's, above the Seichel. Okay, the Chush, I'm just, I'm going very quickly here. The Chush then impacts his connection to the conceptualization of the subject matter, which we know is Chokhmah. So the Chush impacts his connection to the Chokhmah, which constitutes the various expressions of the essence of the subject matter. Okay, he described here, if you go back to paragraph 3, he describes this whole process of how a person goes from being connected to his ratzon to manifesting it in chokhmah and bina, and even in action itself. Okay, I guess most of you didn't get to this, the omek, rochav, and orech of das, and that's okay, because you know, you can look at it later and it's not going to be so relevant. Just here, the definition of das. Das means to focus the power of one's minds and thought on one particular concept. Through das, the person connects the entire essence of his being to the concept he's thinking about. And one more thing, das reaches to the essence of the concept, the mahut etzem hadavar. And here he adds something, even chokhmah, which is haskalat etzem hadavar, is only an expression and his pashtus of the essence of the thing. So that's something that we might not have taken that much notice of, but it's going to become more relevant now. So we see that here in paragraphs 9 and paragraph 3, Reb Hillel has been describing to us some of the details of das, and now in paragraph 11, he's going to put it all together and clarify it and give us more details about how das works in relation to Koach HaMaskil and also in relation to Chokhmah and Bina. So my point here really was to really just try to connect you to what the foundation he's given us already, so that as we go forward into paragraph 11, we can really realize that we know a lot of what he's already saying. Okay, Mina, over to you.
Thank you. And yeah, also to notice that what we're going to be learning now, it's the process by the mashpia. So he is providing us with a process up down, and then he's going to provide the process down up. But in order for us to truly understand what das is, it will be easier for us to understand first up down, and that's what he's doing. So I'm going to share my screen, and one second, I'm just going to press my annotation. Okay. Everybody can see my screen? Yeah? Yeah, we are on page Kuf Nun Gimel. Okay. Let's go. Vehine yesh gimel bechinas. There are 3 levels, 3 aspects, which is iyun, v'amakas hadas. First is iyun. The second one is amakas hadas, u'bechinas ma'amik, and the level of ma'amik. And ki ma'amik hu lashon maf'il, because ma'amik has the expression of an activator. Maf'il is when we activate something. We create a pu'ula in something. What does this mean? V'hainu shemaf'il le'omek de chokhmah ubina. And this means that he activates the omek of chokhmah and bina. Hainu, which means hanal, as it was explained above, shu mekasher es atzmo be'etzem mahut hadavar, that he is connects himself into the essence of that thing. Okay, and now how in the world is he able to connect through his das into the essence of that thing? Is mitzad hachush, through the chush. What does this mean, a chush? A chush, who his kashrus haratzon. This is the connection of his desire sheyesh bo hanal, as we described above, that he possesses. So the chush is this desire, connection to his desire. Meaning, we could have many desires. Some of them are more essential, some of them are secondary. What is that tool? What is that aspect? What is that spiritual faculty that we possess that allows us to connect to our ratzon, right? Meaning, a person could have many ratzonos, but that could be very, very hidden from him. So the chush is that sensitivity that a person has to his own ratzon, meaning being attuned with his own desires. That's what chush is. Is it attunement to his own desires? Is the chush sensitivity that he has to what he wants, right? So that allows us not to be so confused. The confusion comes when we have no idea what we want. So the hiskashrus, the connection that we have to our desires, that's called chush. And as we learned previously, this becomes the root of das. And what happens when he connects himself to this chush? Through this, he's able to awaken his koach hamaskil. To do what? Lahaskil velahasik. To conceptualize and to understand b'muskal, bichlal, or bifrat. In the concept, in general terms, and in particular. Now, a person might think like, hey, what are we talking about? How can koach hamaskil has bina and chachma and bina, and in brackets it explains kayadua the chachma kechada nafkin, the chachma or bina kechada nafkin. It is known that chachma and bina, they come out together. Shelishneihem yesh shoresh b'koach hamaskil, that both of them we have a root in koach hamaskil. Val yidei bechinas ma'amik, and through the aspect of ma'amik canal, ma'orer shnei hashorashim, he awakens both of these roots. Sheyavo lidei gilui, b'moach hachachma u'b'moach habina, u'levadal, that they will come into revelation in the brain of chachma, which is the right brain, and in the brain of bina, which is the left brain, and it's enough to understand. So here we go. He literally spells it out here that chachma and bina, both of them are rooted in koach hamaskil, and through him connecting himself with his own desire, he literally gives birth to the omek, to the depth of chachma, and to the depth of bina. Okay, so this is pretty much what ma'amik is, right? There's a ma'amik. There was absolutely no seichel before. There was absolutely nothing was revealed before. He has a desire to reveal it. He taps deep into his koach hamaskil, and the concept is being born. Now, it's not just being born as an abstract thing. No, it's being born both, chachma and bina, klal and prat, together. Then, in order for this concept to come and to disseminate, he has to awaken something deeper, right? So after something is being born, what do we do with the baby besides birthing the baby? What do you think we do? One is to go through the birth process and to give birth to the baby. What happens next? Any ideas, mothers? What do we do next?
Baby.
We nurture.
Wrap it in a blanket.
Amazing. We need to nurture him, right? Obviously, we wrap into the blanket, we rock it, and all that. But first thing, what we do, we feed the baby. Right? If you don't feed the baby, very sad ramifications, right? You have to feed the baby. Meaning, besides birthing the baby, you also need to feed the baby. And this is amakas hadas process. So it's not enough for the mashpia to give birth to the concept, but he also needs to nurture the concept, right? So now chachma and bina are being born. He has that revelation in his brain. Now what? Ach, hamakas hadas hu le'achar sheba haseichel va'hasaga lidei gilui. Hamakas hadas, it's after the seichel, the concept, and the understanding. And you see, he makes it a point to use these two languages, haskala and hasaga, right? After the haskala and hasaga came into the revelation, right? Which is what? Shehu b'chinas is galos the chachma bina, that these are the levels of the revelation of the chachma and bina. As miskasher begilui hasechel, then he reveals, right? Then he connects himself into the revealed seichel. So it's two connection. One is to connect to his ratan to give birth. Then once it's revealed, okay, you already have a kid. Okay, the baby's in your hands. What do? You nurture it. Okay? You need to have that connection, that emotional connection to want to nurture it, right? You don't want to be like cuckoo bird, right? The cuckoo bird is just like, okay, gives an egg and runs away. Like, you know it, right? It's a very interesting bird. By the way, research it. It's a funny story. Anyway, we don't want to be cuckoo birds. Like, no, we want to give birth and we want to nurture it. Okay, so this nurturing process is after it's being revealed. Obviously, there is something to nurture. And this revelation of the sechel and the hasaga, he has such a strong connection to that seichel to the point that he's unable to separate from it. He becomes obsessed, just like the mother. Okay, she doesn't care about her other kids anymore, right? She holds this newborn baby and really takes care of it and nurtures it more, and obviously gives more attention than to the rest of her babies who are in the house, right? And that's why this is vital for her survival. This is called bonding, right? So this bonding experience is literally essential. Why? Because if it's not going to be essential, then what's going to happen? It's still vague. It's still abstract, and we want to bring it more. So therefore, we need to strengthen the concept. Okay, so he connects to the concept to such an extent that he cannot separate from it. And that's what's called hamakas hadas. What does this mean? That he deepened his das lekasher es atzmai b'chochma v'bina, to connect himself into the chochma and bina. Okay, so now you could say yourself, okay, wait a second, Mila, it says over there the word ma'amik. No, but we're not talking about that ma'amik that we just described. It just uses this as a verb, that he deepens his das. And he says in brackets here, masha'enkin, and it's not like this ma'amik. I'm sorry, ma'amik. And it's not like this ma'amik stam. In stam ma'amik, he's not nurturing the concept. He only activates the depth of chachma and bina. Through him connecting himself into the koach hamaskil canal. That's all. That's all what he does. It's not like this in hamakas hadas. Shehu lif'ol omek hadas, that he awakens omek of the das, liskasher b'chochma bina canal, to connect to the chochma and bina, as it was said above. So now you might think to yourself, after reading this, a question: who cares? Why we need this hamakas hadas? Because Chachma and Bina are already born. Why you need to have yet another das down there? And to make sure, what was this? We have an obsession. This definitely looks like a control, right? We want to have a full control that something is happening here, okay? We give birth to the concept, and we also want to nurture it in the right way. And what is it? What is it that there seems to be some kind of an obsession to stick das in between every single level? Okay, there's a das that connects ratzon and koach hamaskil. There's a das that connects that activate Koach HaMaskil to give birth to Chochmah and Bina. There's a Das that nurtures Chochmah and Bina. It's like, okay, what's the story with Das, right? Why it is so essential? And here is the answer. Because remember, what is the definition of Das? Who can just point out? What is the definition of Das?
Connection.
Connection to what?
Between two levels.
To the
No.
Havana and to the Skala.
But, but Mamik is also Das. Has nothing to do with Havana Skala. Havana Skala were not born even. Remember the key word, that Das is the hiskashus to the etzem hadavar, to the essence of that thing. Okay? Before it comes into any shape, into any form, whichever way it's going to get revealed. The Das is the connection to the essence of that thing. So now let me tell you, Tippi, who is doing all these beautiful arts on the page. Okay, I see you. You're going into creative expression. Okay, yeah. So what's Das? Das is connection to the essence of that thing. What do you think happens when we turn on a huge engine, which is our intellect? What do you think happens? The question is raised, can the essence be transmitted through intellect? Okay. How can we avoid for Torah not just to become a philosophy, right? That the essence of the concept actually going to be transmitted. Who is going to make sure that we are packaging the essence of Hashem in every single Torah that we give? That's Das' job. That's why there's an obsession with Das. Das makes sure. Das's kava emtsai is the middle line. Make sure that there's a balance in things. Okay, makes sure that Chochmah and Bina are going to remain true to the essence, but not just going to become removed cold intellect that has a tendency to become. Okay, because Chochmah and Bina have their own nature. And that's what it says. The inyan the Chochmah and Bina, and the idea of Chochmah and Bina, shehu etzem hahaskala, etzem hahasaga, which is, what is Chochmah and Bina? And Bina, this is the essence of the haskala and the essence of the hasaga. What are they? Hurag haispashtus me'etzem amahut. They are only the manifestations of the essence of the thing. They're not the essence of the thing. They're only manifestations. It's just one expression of the essence of that thing. Okay? That's it. That's all what they are. So what do you do about it? Now, the aspect of the hiskashrus in the Chochmah and Bina, ba'omek dato, in the omek of his das, what happens? Yuchal lahavi etzem hahaskola lahalbisha beribui tamim uzvor shones, right? So he's able to get this etzem of the haskala and to enclose it into different reasons and explanations, right? Because he's able to connect into, deepen his das into the essence of the haskala, right? That's meaning he is ensuring that in this packaging process, the essence doesn't get diluted. The essence remains as a whole. Okay, and this das is called a mechaber between Chochmah and Bina, because truly we could wrap a concept in such a way that it's no longer faithful to its original state, meaning the essence is not there. Okay, and we don't want that, right? Because we want the das, we want the concept that, what's the point? Because if I'm giving over a concept, I'm packaging it into a nice, beautiful wrap, but there's a candy inside. The whole idea, it's not the wrap, is that the child unwraps and takes the candy. But due to the immature state of the makabel at that given moment, it has to be wrapped. Okay? But the inyan that he should get the candy. Does that make sense? He has to do his iyun to mature his intellect to understand what his Rebbe wants to teach him. Okay? So that's why the Rebbe included it into Mashalim. If we don't have a problem with Akelim, then the Rebbe doesn't have to include it in the Mashalim. He could just talk to us like adults, right? But then because we are not on that level, he gives us a mashal. But can you imagine how devastated we are if we just take this wrapper, we open it, and there's another wrap, and then there's nothing inside? You understand? Like then just what's the point? There's no point. That's a devastation. The whole point is that there's a wrapper, then there's another wrapper, then there's another wrapper, and then there's a candy inside, and we enjoy. Okay, then the essence is being transmitted. But if the essence is not transmitted, that it defeats the whole purpose. What are we wasting our time?
Mila, it makes me think that, sometimes when we learn Torah from somebody who is not really very well sourced in the sources, like the original sources, sometimes we really get the externals and we don't get the essence of it. And when you learn from a teacher who's really, really knowledgeable and knows how to not only, entertain and bring mashalim and et cetera, but is constantly connected to the real source, it's a different experience of learning Torah. That's
100%. We obviously, yeah, for sure. But here we're talking about not an intermediate between the Rebbe and the Chassid, which is another Chassid, right? We're talking about when the Rebbe gives over, right, a piece of Torah. What ends up happening is that through this Amakas Hadas, he's Amakas Hadas. So we basically now going into a spiritual structure of how the Rebbe gives over the Maimer. He has a desire to give. He connects to his Koach HaMaskil, and through his Koach HaMaskil, a Maimer is being born. Chachma and Nabina. The concept itself, and how is he going to wrap it into letters. Okay. Now he has to yet again pick in his Amakas Hadas to connect to the concept in such a personal and deep level, so the essence is being transmitted in the process. That's what we're talking about. This is Amakas Hadas, okay? And this is the Iskashus of Chachma and Bina to the Omek of the Das. So the Atzim of the Haskalah will be enclosed in the Riboy reasons and the Riboy and different explanations. And this is Amakas Hadas and the Etzim of the Haskalah. And this is, it says, the Mechaber, it connects Chachma and Bina. Why? So through the packaging of the, remember the Bina was a levush to Chachma? So this packaging, actually, somebody is in there. Okay, it's not just a levush by itself. Okay? So the Makabel is not deceived. Im ein das and bina. And through this we understand that there is actual person sitting there, right? Imagine a chachma, there's, this, what's it called? The das is right there to ensure that the recipient receives the essence. Okay, that's it. So it's just like, make sure. So therefore, if there's no das, then there will be no proper bina. Okay, because then the bina will be just a bunch of words. Okay. And after that, Yachol laharbish hazvara b'ribuy mashalim. Then we could take the explanation and include it into many garments. And if a person unwraps it, who does he find? He finds a king is there, right? That's why Alter Rebbe gives a mashal. It's like, the mitzvahs. It's like hugging the king, because it's a lavush, but then there's a king there, so the lavush becomes nullified. Okay, so the same thing is here. We want to make sure that the melech is present there. although we're going to include it in so many
Understand the word freezing.
clothing.
I wasn't. This is very warm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Vehesberim shonim, and different explanations. Zeu mitzad amakas dato. And that happens because of his omek of his dad. But omek of bina, in the omek of his bina, you're like, wait a second, what this has to do with omek of bina? For sure, because it has to come through the omek of bina, right? Through the omek of bina, we all know what's omek of bina, right? It's not on the way up, on the way down. It has to go first through omek of bina, so we could reach into the orach of bina, which is shenikra keser of bina. This is the keser of bina. Okay, v'laham shicha ad b'chinas bina shebebina, and to manifest it until bina of bina, shehu halbashas, which is the enclosement of the explanation b'davar zar, into something removed, right? For example, we are talking about godliness, and we bring an example of the relationship of the sun and the moon. What sun and moon has to do with this? Nothing. It's a removed concept. It's a mashal, okay? That we, for example, we are learning about das, and I'm giving you an example of a birth of a baby. What this has to do with this? No. It's just when we study the similarities of the process, we could relate to the concept itself. That's called a mashal, okay? Shuhu inyan mashalim, that this is the whole idea of the mashalim. Mashalim are enclosing it into something zar. Zar is foreign, okay? So our brain is able to understand what is he talking about, right? Because we don't have yet a concept of a spiritual concept. Therefore, we need to bring something gashmi, like the river, like Mayan, and different things, right? The wellspring and all these things, all these mashalim. So it's easier for us to understand because this is something we're familiar with. So through the familiarity with concept that we are familiar with, we're able to understand the processes that happen in spirituality, in spiritual world. Okay, so the same thing is here. This process of packaging a concept into a mashal, which is zar, happens through das to ensure the quality, okay, that the essence is being transmitted. Das, and this level is the aspect of das, she'achar omek of bina. That's after the omek of bina, okay? And Valze Amar Sheim Ein Bina and Das. So now, since it already comes after the process of Bina, okay, therefore we says if there's no Bina, there's no Das. You get it? First, there was no Das, there was no Bina. But then after Omek of the Bina, obviously it goes through the process of packaging a nice mashal that also has an involvement of das. And therefore, if there's no bina, then there will be no das. Okay? What happens? What's the point of all this long saga? Right? It happens in us simultaneously, right? And we are freezing the process so we could study it, so we know how to work with it. Okay? What happens after we are enclosing it in all the mashalim, etc., etc.? Ad sheyityashev hamuskal bekli moichai, until this concept is going to get situated. That's called yisyashvas, come from the word lasheves, right? Until this muskal, this concept is going to get situated in our brain. Yashvas gemura, in full saturation, okay? V'yushpal gamken, and therefore it could be lowered down, mata, down, at sheyosig tina katan, until a small child is able to understand, gamken as well, lamuskalahu, for this concept, okay? V'shnei bechinas elu, and now these two aspects of mamik and amakasadas, hu etzel harav, is by a Rav. Hamamti haskalis chadashes me'atzmai. This concept, what we just described, happens, this process happens by a Rav that comes up with new concept from himself. Okay, and it's fascinating to see that both of them, Ma'amik and Chassidus, happens up down. Okay, later on we're also going to learn, he's going to throw in here that once the Makabel appears, okay, once the Makabel appears, the Rav also goes through the process of Iyun. Remember that? He mentioned it a little bit later. But right now, he's not bringing this idea. Okay? Right now, he's bringing that the Rav has these two levels, which is Ma'amik and Chassidus. And truly, if we think about Ma'amik, I'm activating my Koach HaMaskil to give me a new concept. After that happens, I'm taking this concept, connecting dearly to it, so I could really bring it down to my own brain, right? It's actually settles. And I'm also able to explain it, give it over to others. So basically, this is the process. So now, in general, it's Ma'amik, but in more details, it's going to be through Chassidus. So any questions on this so far?
Mila, how about we share the image that we did to show this process as well, the image of the brain? Or you want to wait to do that?
Let's see if people have any questions pertaining to the text.
Okay.
Anybody?
Is it clear, or do you not have questions because it's clear, or do you not have questions because it's not clear?
Let me ask a question, okay? So would you say that Ma'amik, if I'm drawing it, Ma'amik is actually going up to activate something, and Hamakata Dat is afterwards going down to connect it? Would that, in like very general lines, be correct?
Can you say that again, Sarah? Can you say that again?
I'm thinking that Ma'amik is you're going higher to עצם מהות הדבר, to the essence, and then you מעורר וכוח המשכיל, etc. So מעמיק is maybe going up deeper, higher, and then העמקת הדעת is perhaps connecting it more and more and more to come down. Would that be correct? Just very, very...
Yes and no. I'll tell you why. Because truly, a true tzaddik lives through his essence. It's hard for us to understand that there are people who live like that, because we sometimes feel so disconnected. I would say most of the times, right? So I can, and this is what we learned in that mimer that we went over. You remember the Asherus mimer, right? It's very hard for us to understand that the person on the level of Ma'amik, he lives through his essence. So he's not going deeper. On the contrary, he is in depth. You know, he wants to bring out. And in order for him to bring out, he goes down into his ratzon, okay, and gives birth to the concept and commands it, ma'amik, right, and activates his koach hamaskil, says, okay, now give me a concept. I want to give hashpa. I want to give over. You understand? So it's like, it's not for us, yes, for us, if we are on the level of Bina, for us, it's going to be going up to our Koach HaMaskil. But for him, he's not living from his head, he's living from his essence.
Right. Okay.
So it's a totally different process. You know, it's like we're learning it, right? And Rebbe is pushing us to embody this awareness and this consciousness of really living through our essence. Right? And for us, it's an avodah. By a tzaddik, it's a fact. How else can you live? This is the reality. You live through your essence. So yeah. So for them, it goes into that two steps. One is the general, which is the ma'amik. I'm activating my koach hamaskil to give me an idea, both in my chokhmah and in my bina. And through my hamaka sadas, I'm connecting to the concept, but in a way that I'm not betraying the essence of the concept. You see? So this das keeps it like at a check.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like to make sure that whatever mashal I'm going to give, the God is going to be enclosed in it.
Well, yeah.
And that's why das becomes an obsession in a way. It's like, no, besides ma'amik, I'm going to have a makasadas, and I'm going to make sure that every single mashal will have the essence packaged in it.
Right.
So it's like this truth, right? Like
Yeah.
staying faithful to the truth of the concept. That's what das is about.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I just want to ask, I'm very lost, but while you were speaking, I had this thought that das brings you into action, into your passion, like brings your passion into action. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Because this is exactly what it is. It's what activates it. You know, it's what activates the inner dimensions of our consciousness. You know, it's like activates that, and it's true, and it's there to bring it into actuality. And that's why das is kava imtzai, is the middle line, and kava imtzai is the truth. It will not allow you to be delusional. Das is about right here, right now. Do you know what I mean? Like brings you to the truth of the moment, because, you know, sometimes, especially if you are more on a creative side, right? You just go delusional. You know, you are so wrapped in the concept, and you're like, you know what I mean? Like dancers will tell you, okay, what do we do about it? Do you know what I mean? Like it's just, you know, really keeps the middle line there, because the truth of the matter is, if a person has a talent, he wants to express it. Right? If you know how to draw, you don't just want to remain in a drawing of it in your brain. You want to give a piece of paper and you actually express it on a piece of paper. If you're a poet, you would want to express it, you know, in a poem, right? If you're a writer, you want to express it in the actual book, right? So what is that will keep you faithful to the process of discipline, of actually going into the essence and bringing more and bringing even better, even greater? You know what I mean? Like, what is that faculty? That would be your das. Because
So
you want to express the essence. What?
A person can become delusional with creativity when they're not connecting chokhmah and bina. Like they may be forgetting about that. I think that is
the
what
essence,
can happen.
exactly. So exactly, das will not, because you see, how many times in the creative process you draw something and then you're like, no, that's not it. That's not what I wanted. Ever happened to you? Like you're creating something and you see like, no, this is not what I wanted. Who is judging here right now? It's your das confirming with the essence and bringing in the message into your chokhmah and bina that, no, this is not it. We need to go deeper. And you go deeper again and you express it again. And you're like, yeah, it is. A little bit more. Okay. This constant messaging back and forth into the essence and how you express it, into the essence and how you express it. That happens with anybody, with people who write music, with people, with literally any creative process, with writers. Even when you give over the class, you have that awareness. Was it what you wanted or not? What if you wanted or not wanted? So that desire, truly, it's not just a desire. There's an oneg there, right? We learned it, right? So it's not just a desire. It's packaged in the oneg. So that oneg is the expression of the essence. So is that expression of the essence is being transmitted through my kalim or not? Is it true how it is up there? Or there is some kind of mis-expression? I don't know the right word for it. You know, it's like let me look it up. I think that's
Like a disconnection, isn't it? Like a disconnection between the Chochmah and the Bina. It's not
yeah,
flowing properly
there's
between
a
them.
word for it.
Mila,
Yeah.
Mila, can you hear me?
Distortion. It's called distortion. Because a lot of times we see with our mind's eye, right? Something we want to express. But then when it comes through our faculties, it becomes distorted. So the Das is the one who is the truth transmitter and says, oh, that's not how I saw it up there. How do I alter it? And I express the true desire, the way it originally was there. Do you know what I mean? Like that process of back and forth, it happens through this kava imtsoi is the das, is the higher awareness that's being transmitted. And therefore we see so many das and a lot of people get confused. We don't have like higher bina, lower bina, right? We don't have that, right? We have bina, we have chachma, we have chesed, gvura, tiferes, and all the midas. And in das, we constantly have a das there, das here, chush, das, and there's so many higher versions of das that many people get confused. It was like, Rebbeinu Shalom, how many das is up there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, we need.
So as you're moving through them, like in a way, are you getting closer? Like I'm thinking when I was designing something, I would come to an understanding and then it wasn't exactly and it wasn't working. So I would work further and I would come to a new level. Is that like different forms of das?
Yeah, but the thing is like where you need to go deeper. You know, are you deepening your amakasadas, or you deepening, or you actually accessing a whole new, totally new level, which is from your koach hamaskil? It depends, you know, where the concept is at what stage. Is it a concept? Is it a totally new concept that you need to give birth to, or it's a concept that you need to nurture? Meaning it's there, but you just need to nurture it. So it depends. Some concept that, you know, I guess midlife crisis, this is what it's about. It's like, okay, I need a new concept of life, you know, a brand new concept of life. You know, whereas before we were nurturing what was given to us by our parents. Okay, so what are we doing now? All right.
Well, I thought just to clarify that I would share, you know, the picture that we did and just make it, you know, put it into a visual. So there we have, you know, the skull, the ratzon, the koach hamaskil between the brain and the skull. And that's where the mimic happens, is over here. The mimic is stimulating the koach hamaskil to go into the chokhmah, the right brain, and the left brain simultaneously. And then we have the amakas hadas, which is between chokhmah and bina. So we have the mimic, which is between, you know, the ratzon, the koach hamaskil, and the chokhmah and bina, and then which is giving birth to the chokhmah and bina, and then the makas hadas is, as Mila was saying, the nurturing of it, going back and forth. And we saw that even in paragraph 3 with the person who we said had das into what he was learning, that he was going back and forth, it seems, between the concept and the explanation. He connected himself to the concept and to the explanation. So does this give more clarity just to see it? in a way, it's simplifying it, but just to have a visual of, you know, what it is.
Definitely.
So, you know, this is the process from up to down through Chokhmah and Bina. And then we're going to come next week, we're going to look at this process of Iyun, which he mentioned, which begins, it's the process of from down to up of the Makabel, which is going to start where the Mashpia ended. Mashpia brings it all the way down to the Orech of Bina. And then that's where the Makabel begins to receive it and work back up. So now, do you have any questions or any insights? Is what's clearer for you? What's more difficult?
I'm wondering if the Makabel can do it on his own. In other words, if you didn't have the top-down process already complete, and everything brought down to the Orech Bina, can one begin with Iyun and just kind of push up?
Mila?
I'm sorry, I missed that. What was that, Nechama?
So Maria was saying that now we can begin with the Iyun, but if that top-down didn't take place, can
That's fine. That's fine. That's good news. I'll tell you what it is, because I don't think Hashem can really expect us to live on this inside-out level. Have we not being distorted and heavily misled throughout? You know what I'm talking about? Like, this is just not fair. You know, if we would be raised by this, you know, great tzaddikim that knew the process and would teach us, and first of all, we'll make sure that our neshama is going to come out in a pure way, you know, through having proper kavanas during the conception and all these other things, you know. We come with a very, very thick levush. I mean, is that really fair for anybody to like demand of us to live on such a level? No. And that's why, for this specific reason, we have a mitzvah of Shema and not anything else. The mitzvah of Shema is that Hashem realizes that we're not there, and moreover, he doesn't want us to be there. He could have created all of us, I don't know, children of Rebbeim, okay, who are pure themselves, and all our parents are going to be tzaddikim, and we would know the avodos of the tzaddikim. But that's not, in Tanya it says very clearly, this is not what Hashem chose. Hashem chose for us to go through what we went through. That was a very conscious choice, because nothing happens without Hashgacha Pratis. And yet Hashem wants us to take these experiences that we have and to work our way through and break through them. There's a great nachas from this, okay? That we're able to take the existing reality and say, you know what, I could think higher than that. And walk our way all the way through to our essence. And to be completely on the outside. And we say, Iyun starts in Bina Shababina. We're not even close to the essence, nothing. But remember, who was packaging all these concepts? Who was staying faithful that the essence is being transmitted and wrapped and wrapped and wrapped and wrapped? And actually, here we go. We are learning it, right? And we are unwrapping it, and we are unwrapping it, and we are unwrapping it until we reach the candy, and we have oneg, right? Candy is sweet. We eat it, and we're like, wow, this is the light of my life. Okay, here we go. I got it. Okay, and then by analyzing the process that we went through to say, hey, if I did it once, I could do it second time, third time, fourth time, and then I don't need to do it anymore. I'm going to live inside out. Okay, so this is the process that all of us have full access to. So no, it's not, we're not meant to do it inside out at the moment. Okay, because truly what it teaches the amazing resilience of the essence Despite us not growing up in the Rebbe's house, despite us not being conceived in the most right way that we think we should have been conceived, okay, etc., 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 and having all our nafesh bahamas and the nature and the traumas and everything else, okay, the beauty of it that the essence remains untouched. And remember, ekye asher ekye, we learned it, right? Meaning, this ekye, which is the first expression of the essence, which is the onek, the bina of Atik Yomin, is expressed in the bina of bina, period. So we have that yichud happening, and it's there accessible for us. And that's where our emunah kicks in here. Although we don't know how it's going to be that way, but we believe in the process. This is the emunah is. The emunah says, I believe in the process, that this is where it takes me. And when we allow that to open up and allow the essence to be revealed, this is going to be our personal geula. Personal geula is that when we don't doubt the process is here, all spelled out. This is what needs to be done. On the contrary, that's where we have that, we allow the essence to reveal. And yeah, and amazing things happen when we do that.
I think, I'm not sure, but Nechama seemed to be asking whether we can access the essence without a mashpia.
Oh, for sure. That's what he says over there. That through the omek, through the orech of bina, he says a little bit later, remember, that then he is able to activate his own koach hamaskil from that concept. Once you get from your bina of bina to amakasadas, you're able to activate your maimic level as well. It's all within us. And therefore, he says, and he will be able, that will be next week, and he will be able to conceptualize new concept from that concept, meaning he could use the process as a stepping stone, and he becomes the maimik, for sure. This is all within us.
But
that's why it says that we wouldn't need any teachers anymore. Remember, in the Geula process, we don't need teachers anymore. It's going to be a totally different relationship. That's something that we don't even know what that is. Because our whole Golus mindset is Mashpia and Mekabel model all throughout. So can you imagine we're going to be living something that we don't even have a circuitry for? So then you might ask a question, why we need Moshe Rabbeinu, why we need the Rebbe, why we need all the Rebbeim? Because our perception of them as having this Mashpia and Mekabel relationship. But obviously they're all going to rise up, and we're going to have a different kind of relationship with them, not Mashpia and Mekabel. It's just going to be different. And we don't know what that is because we're just going to use the word different at the moment for the lack of better word, because anything that we know is Mashpia and Mekabel.
Mila?
Yes. Yeah.
As you were talking, it was very interesting when you were talking about connecting to the essence of the Inyan, And I was thinking about the whole Inyan of Chassidus Chabad is connecting to one who gives the Torah. There's people who can be learning and yet still not, like the whole Inyan of Chassidus Chabad is connecting to the giver of the Torah, and that's through the Rabbeim and so on. So it's going back to the essence, going back, whatever we're learning is like, who gave us this? Who is like connecting to that aspect? So there was just kind of flash that went through my mind as you were saying, connecting to the essence.
Right, 100%. And you'll be surprised, but in Shara Yichud, Chabad is the Pnimius HaKelim. Right? There's a Chabad, Chagad, and Nehi. Right? So Chabad is the Pnimius of the Kelim. It's the nerve. In chapter 3, he's going to give a beautiful mashal that Chabad is the nerves in the body. Sagad, these are the arteries, and Nehi is the power of a movement. And it's it's beautiful, exactly, because this is what Chabad is. Chabad is to bringing the pneumius of the Kalim, which is godliness, into the world, and that's why, part of the avodah is to spread out the Chabad houses in all the corners of the world, because what are the nerves? What's the function of the nerve? What nerves do?
Transmit
Connect to
messages.
the brain.
Amazing, connects to the brain. Beautiful. It transmits the messages of the brain to the rest of the body. That's what nerves do. Okay, and that's what Chabad houses do, right? We're transmitting the message of the brain, which is our Rebbe, into the world. And it's interestingly that creating that whole beautiful network, this is what, and we definitely nerves of everybody, right? Chabad getting on the nerves of everybody, because this is more or less what it is. And look at Chagat. What Chagat Hasidim do? Come on, you tell me. They nurture. Every single hospital has what do you call Bikur Cholim, right? Chagat is in the Bikur Cholim. This is not even normal. Everything they do for Bikur Cholim. Any hospital, Chas v'Shalom, you go into, there's always food, and this is they actually. It's so interesting. They subconsciously, but they serving that purpose. It's like blood that nourishes, like blood vessels, right? That nourishes every single part of the body. That's what they keep doing. They're constantly about the food and about sustenance and making sure that, and we see that all the time. There's a satmar everywhere in that regard. It's like it's with Bikur Cholim, Vishnit, Satmar, right? All the Chagat Chasidim are very much involved in Bikur Cholim constantly.
Not only in New York, also in
Not
Europe,
only in
I've
New York,
seen
it's
it.
worldwide.
Yes.
Any hospital,
Yes.
you see, Vishnit and, and Satmar, like there's tons of food there and all that, and, organizing all that. And that's just interesting, like that psychologically, that just naturally happens, because that's what spiritually, the system that Hashem created. Okay.
I just joined. I have company in my house. I don't know if you could hear me.
We can hear you.
So you said the words nice and atar. You were speaking about something with connecting to the essence. I'll catch up when I can. I just had an experience literally on Yutas Kislev with somebody that was so powerful. Do you have time for me to share?
Yeah, go ahead.
Does it connect with Shara Yichud, or it's just Stam?
It was the nice and haTorah, like connecting to the essence.
Okay.
So there's somebody I met in the most unusual way, which I'm not going to even go into that now. It's very, very interesting, but she's very liberal. Like she passed my house on a Friday after Shabbos afternoon. She's looking for Abdullah. Anyways, she's a very unique person, and she's like, she's liberal. So she has all the liberal views, but she ended up connecting me with a group, and I gave my Simcha course, and she took it, and I'm in touch with her, and she's brilliant. Anyways, she came from time to time. We have been meeting. She came to learn on Yutas Kislev of all days, and I just had listened to a sikha. That's all. I don't know what to do with the sikha, but all of a sudden I realized I'm going to share with her, because she's actually a leader and she learns with people. Yeah. But she's so liberal that she gives me this something, a little emblem, and then I said, look it up. What is this? Oh, there's a rabbi and a rebbitzin. The rabbi is female and the rebbitzin is male. No, yeah, and that's what she's. Anyways, and she teaches people, and she takes what she learned with me, and she'll teach it with them all. But they're like completely liberal. So I was learning the sikh, and the sikh is about the nice and haTorah. That if you're not going to have, it's a rate, a bar, a pit. It's empty. If there's no water, immediately you're going to be automatically, you're involved with scorpions and snakes. And I'm learning it out with her, and she's like, what do you mean? Like scorpions and snakes? I'm thinking, what did I get myself into? Then I started telling her the reason. I'm telling it to you because you're teaching people. You have to connect to the Nes and Torah. And then we sat there and I spoke a little about it, and suddenly she had tears. She was like, so and I felt a punch in my stomach, like I felt my whole body tingling. It was like a crazy feeling. I felt that she connected. She's not. She's liberal. She's like so fighting it, and so entrenched with all the whole movement with the retreats and the blah blah and the Zalma Schechter and the ganze Geschichte. Suddenly, she felt the nice and the essence. She got in touch with that essence in her, and I felt it. It was like a crazy. We sat there, the two of us, and it was like an overwhelming, strong feeling. And I can't believe what we just experienced. And she got in touch with it. So that's I wanted to share that that there's an essence inside there, and that they're denying it. They're just going to look for not God, like God substitutes, and trying to feel good, and to connect with that essence was incredible. Now I don't know if it fits into anything. You tell me.
It's a very powerful story. It's the kind of thing that can happen on your Tes Kislev.
Yes, that was helpful with Hashgacha Pratis. Everything about the two of us has been Hashgacha Pratis all the time, but this definitely was a big boost. Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Anybody has any epiphanies, any insights? We all mesmerized with the
there was something when we were studying the text, there was something that came up for me next week. This coming week is Hanukkah. And by the way, we're not going to have a class next week because it's Hanukkah. For those of us who are, in America, it's in the morning, but for those in Israel and South Africa, it's in the evening. So we'll take a break for 1 week and then we'll come back the next week. But there's a discussion between Shammai and Hillel about how to light the Hanukkah candles. And there was something about what we were learning about now that seemed to have a correlation. So I'll try to put it together. So Shammai, we know that Shammai is the view that will, we don't usually take the halacha according to Shammai, we go according to Hillel. When Mashiach comes, we'll be able to do things according to the vision of Shammai, because he's seeing things kind of from above, like from Hashem's perspective. And Hillel is more chesed, seeing the limitations of the makabel of where we are now. So Shammai says, the first night of Hanukkah, light 8 candles. Like, here, take all the light in one shot. That's the miracle. The miracle is 8 days. So start with, start with 8 lights, and then, then you diminish. And Hillel says, no, you start with 1 light, and then you add another light, and then another light, and then you come to the fullness of it. So what is the discussion between them? Well, I'm sure there are many levels, but on one level, and especially relating to how we're talking about how to give over light, how to give over essence, how to give over a message. And Shammai is saying, just give it over. Give the essence in one shot. Go from koach hamaskil, give it straight. And Hillel is saying, give it in Mishalim, give it, slowly, measure the light for the vessel. You start with 1, then you add some more information and some more, building slowly until you're able to receive. You basically build the vessel to be able to receive 8 lights. And Shammai is saying, no, just give the truth straight away. And right now we are not able, because as Mila was describing, we're not living with our essence. So we need to start with the Eon process. We need to start with 1 light And then when we're able to receive the one light, we build 2 lights and then 3 lights. And we build our vessel until on the 8th night, we're able to receive the full manifestation of the light. And then, Zot Chanukah, that's the essence. Then we get the essence. Shammai says, just give the essence straight away. No, we're not a vessel for it. We're not able to do that yet. It fits in, right, with what we're saying. The process of the mashpia is that he gets the essence. He has the 8 lights, but now he has to bring it down to us through the chokhmah, through the brina, through the orech, through all the different mashalim. And that's like it comes down as one light, but it contains within it in the essence. And then he can build us up so that we can receive the fullness of the miracle, which is the 8 lights. So when you sit and watch the candles, perhaps you can think of some aspect of what it is that we're learning, because really we're learning it literally. As you see, our process is very slow. We're building a little bit of light and building a vessel for it more and more and more until we can receive, hopefully, the essence.
Yeah, Hanukkah in general, it's all about essence. The oil. And now we know how essence can actually be disseminated, right? Because this paragraph actually explains why we need das. Because truly, one might think that we need das only on the maimic level. Why we need a maksadas? We don't need to. On a maimic level, okay, give birth to the concept. Makes sense. Chochma and Bina, amazing. Why there is an obsession with a maksadas? Well, to make sure that we don't just become intellectual, that we connect on all levels with the integrity of the essence. And that's where we keep the balance. That's what the balance is about. Okay.
I'd like to share a story. It's from Rabbi Toworski that his mother used to tell very often about the Shabbos candles. So her father would, he was also a rabbi, I don't remember which one. He would stare into the candles, and she was growing up, and she would ask him, Tate, what are you staring? What are you thinking about? And he said, I am asking Hashem that your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren and all the dorot that will come from you will be Yidden who are oiskim b'Torah v'mitzvahs and learning the Torah of Hashem. And she, she repeated the story for her kids many, many times. And I don't know why it touched me.
Well, fire is one of the most spiritual elements. Fire is a gvura. These are the holy gvuras connecting back to Shammai, right? This is when we are ready to burn. When we're going to be learning about the gvuras later on in Shar Yochid, we will see that the gvuras are not into nonsense. The gvuras is like that, this desire to reach the source, even if it means to completely vanish. It's an exceptional quality of gvuras, and that's what Bina is about. That's why it's specifically through Bina we're able to reach the essence. Remember, this is what we're trying to do. Why Bina? Because Bina is gvura. Bina is the left line. Okay, it's through his gabrus, okay, of the chomer, right? Meaning we're able to, despite all the obstacles, we're able to connect to essence. We need to have a lot of gvuras. It's his gabrus. To do the yigia, we need to do his gabrus, right? It's like the discipline, it's the pain of discipline. That's what we're going through. It's like, oh my gosh, I need to set aside and I need to, you know, concentrate and I need to do this. And this comes from Kava Gvura. It's not going to come from Kava Chesed. Kava Chesed, it's all good. Hashem is everywhere. Accept yourself, right? Amazing, but I want the essence. I don't see it. It's a constant dialogue between Chesed and Gvura that we actually able to transcend our physicality. This is what we're doing. We're transcending our physicality and we're allowing something greater to appear. And for that, we need a lot of Gvura. And that's why the Iyun is in the left side. There's a lot of his Gabrus. Because the materialism, the physicality of the world pulls us down, wants the manifestation. And the Gvura is exactly the opposite. The fire, no matter which way you tilt it, the candle, it always looks up. Right? Is this ability to transcend despite all the angles. Let's say the Freilich and Hanukkah for everybody. May all of you shine with a true, beautiful light of your essence, which is a culminative essence. If it shines through you, it shines through me, it shines through everybody. We are all one and connected.
Thank you.
Thank
Freiliche
you.
Chanukah.
Thank you so much.
Freilich and Hanukkah.
Freiliche Chanukah.